great scopes. So we finished in the Lam Rim, we finished small scopes and medium scopes. So now beginning the great scope teaching. So before taking these classes, we should first set up our intentions. So take refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, then generate bodhicitta. So take refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, which, maybe going to explain a little bit about that, very simple way. Sometimes we might thinking, oh, we know, taking refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, maybe we think we know, but might be we don't know it exactly. So therefore, mainly the refuge object, where we take refuge objects, the dharma. Dharma is the actual, the refuge object, because the reason is we're suffering because of our negative emotion, the ignorance. Among the negative emotion, one of the worst, like a fundamental negative emotion is mind of ego grasping, which is one of the fundamental ignorance we have. We are dominant by, influenced by that ignorance called mind of ego grasping, which is not understanding of true self and the true phenomena. We believe based on our appearance. So the appearance, it appears in our mind completely mistake because of ignorance. Then we believe that. That's why this mind of ego grasping creates self-centered attachment, anger, jealousy, and all these others negative emotions. So we circling in samsara, or we suffer because of this negative emotion. So which is your negative emotion, not from others. So your negative emotions are the main causes of all your sufferings. Because of negative emotion, we accumulating negative karma, negative actions. That's why we suffer. So in order to free from suffering, in order to remove the suffering, we need to purify those negative emotions, specific mind of ego grasping. We have to free from them. We have to clean them. So in order to purify those negative emotions or ignorance, or another word called wrong consciousness or mistaken consciousness, who can help us? Who can able to clean them? Only the dharma. So dharma is like a medicine, can able to cure our inner disease, which are our negative emotion. So what is a dharma? Dharma is the cessations of your mental afflictions, the freedom, cessation of your negative emotion, your ignorance, your mistaken consciousness, and the path who leads into that cessations, which are wisdom, who understanding the true reality, wisdom who understanding the impermanence, wisdom who understanding law of causalities, and the method side, love, compassion, renunciation, bodhicittas, and all these practices. So all these high realization, all these practices help us to achieve cessations of those mental affliction. Another word, your wisdom, your bodhicitta, your compassion, your renunciation, those practices will help you to purify your selfish, your anger, your mind of ego grasping, and so forth. So only your dharma will help you to clean your negative emotion. So dharma is like a medicine who can help us directly to clean all those mental affliction. So that's why we take refuge to the dharma. So dharma is not something enlightened being or something like a being. Dharma is the inner quality, right? The inner quality. So the inner qualities of love, compassion, patience, tolerance, bodhicitta, renunciation, wisdom, and so forth. The true dharma, which usually we call the path. So it's the supreme path, which is seeing path, meditation path, no more learning paths, like these are the paths. And the cessations of all those mental afflictions are the true Dharma. So this is the Dharma, if you generate within your mind stream, that will help you to purify all your negative emotion. That will help you to liberate yourself. So that's why we take refuge to the Dharma as a medicine can directly, help us to cure our inner disease. So in order to generate the Dharma, we need to rely on somebody who are fully understanding, who themselves completely free from this disease, these negative emotions, fulfill what you call pure intention, unconditional love and compassion to everybody, have omniscience, which means perceive or cognizing all phenomena directly. So very skilled, very compassionate heart, very high educated, very loving person with fully qualification. That's called the Buddha, right? The Buddha is like a teacher. We're taking refuge to the Buddha as a teacher, not something miracle power. So Buddha will do something and fix my problem. It's not like that. We're seeing him as a teacher, like a doctor. So when you're seeing Buddha as a teacher, that means taking refuge to the Buddha, which means we learn, we study where the Buddha delivered the doctrines, the teaching. We adopt them, we study them. That's why we rely on the Buddha as a teacher. So Dharma as an actual refuge object. Now what we need as initial practitioners, there's so many obscurations, and we have so much influence by others. The majority of people who associate with us is mundane. They always talk about the mundane things, samsara things, all those families and all those society, all those material world. So living with this kind of condition, it's very difficult to focus on Dharma. So we need somebody who can inspire us, encourage us into the Dharma, who can support our Dharma, who can, stimulate us to go to the spiritual life. So that who will help that? Sanghas. So Sangha, which is Arhat and Arya beings, supreme beings, right? Specific Bodhisattvas. So the Bodhisattvas, Arhat and Arya beings, the supreme Bodhisattvas, the Arya Bodhisattvas, they are the true Sangha. They are the Dharma supporter. They are the Dharma companion. These are the helpers to support and inspire us, encourage us. So we take refuge to the Sangha as a Dharma friends, Dharma companion. So Buddha as a teacher, Dharma as an actual refuge object, Sangha as a Dharma supporter. So through relying on three precious jewels, then mainly we take this Dharma, we learn from the Buddha, from the teacher as a Buddha, then we study that, we're practicing. During the practice, we need some supporters or Sangha members, seeing them as a supporter, then practice. Then through that, when you're generating first renunciation, compassion, bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, when you're developing these, high realization, though these other practice will help you to purify your negative emotion, your ignorance, eventually they cease them, they eliminate them. So when these things eliminate, you achieve cessations of this mental affliction. So these are the true Dharma. So Dharma, when you develop within your mind stream, you are free from samsara. You're free from all your sufferings and the causes of suffering. That's how we liberate. So therefore, taking refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, which means that we have a fear of having sufferings and the causes of suffering. Specific, our fear is fear of living under the influence of negative emotion, under the influence of ignorance. That's how we suffer. We have fear of having the mental, what you call negative karma. That's why we experiencing this suffering. Then general all the suffering, specific the suffering of lower rims, and specific the causes of suffering, or fear about that, having these things. So to get rid of this, free from these suffering and causes of suffering, who can help us? Buddha as a teacher, actual refuge is the Dharma, then Sangha as a Dharma supporter. Through rely on triple gems, then we can able to liberate. So that's kind of belief, trust, convince to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. If you're able to show that, then you have a refuge. You take refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. That's why it's called a refuge. Otherwise, refuge doesn't mean I go to the master, they did the refuge ceremony, they give the vow, and they, did this ritual or that ritual. These are just branch. These are not root text practice. Mainly the practices I mentioned earlier. If you're able to generate refuge within your mind stream, then even you have a ritual or not, you are Buddhist. And having refuge can help you to your mind will internalize your focuses, your own negative emotion. You have a more fear about your negative emotion instead of external things. So it keeps you focused inside to get rid of these negative emotions and negative karma. So refuge will help us to focus there. And refuge will help us to take fully self-responsibility. So I have to change. Nobody can able to do that. My problem, I have to fix it. So in order to fix my problem, I need to rely on these three precious jewels can able to save me. So rely on these three can able to clean my negative emotion. That's why I rely on them, strong faith and trust to them. That kind of attitude when you build it, called the take refuge. So taking refuge, either we recite the prayer or not, that's the main thing. So first make sure each individual should be set up your taking refuge, the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and then, generate bodhicitta. We're taking these classes. It's not only self-benefit, mainly to benefit to all other mother sentient beings who so much suffer out of ignorance. Nobody wants suffering. They want to live happy. They're doing whatever the action they're doing is supposed to be for happiness. But the reality, instead of happy, they torture it by suffering. They are getting more suffer because of the ignorance, because of the mental afflictions, living under the influence of these negative emotions, they always remain suffering. So feel compassion to all of them and generating unusual attitude, which is wish to save them, not only wish to free from their suffering, wish to save them. So in order to save others from their suffering, first oneself need to achieve enlightenment, Buddhahood. Then you can able to help to others. If yourself has too much problem, how can you able to help to others? So therefore, in order to benefit to others, I need to achieve enlightenment, Buddhahood. Therefore, I take this class. Therefore, I learning this Lam teaching is because of to benefit to others. So out of that intention, then listening to class will a huge benefit. So we should set up these kind of intentions. Now the Lam Rim small scopes and medium scope we finished, and the main focus of the small scope, the essence of practice is the renunciation. The medium scopes, essence of practice, the renunciation. Small scopes give us to develop some kind of courses to develop the renunciation. We have to understanding the precious human life, death meditation, like law of causality, suffering, like these things we learn. Then medium scope, mainly we focus on Four Noble Truth, True Link of Interdependence. So whatever you meditate, mainly our focus is to generate renunciation. So the renunciation is first very important. Without renunciation, there's nothing to achievement, anything at all. You can't develop compassion to others. Without compassion, you can't develop bodhicitta, right? So first, make sure to have renunciation. So we finished that in the small scope and medium scope. Is main purpose is to understand what is the renunciation, how to develop the renunciation, how it's important to have renunciation first. So through that, you got that, you understand that. Now only thing is put it into the practice in your daily life. So the simple thing is knowing all my suffering is because of living under the influence of these negative emotions, this ignorance. That's why we're circling in samsara. So all this mundane pleasure we consider as a happiness, but these are also part of suffering. These mundane pleasures are not true happiness. True happiness, which means long-lasting happiness. So this mundane pleasure from the temporarily makes you happy, but after that it can change. It can change into something or it can disappear, so it's no longer there. So these all mundane pleasures, most of the mundane pleasure is turned into the suffering. That's why it's called suffering of changing. It's the mundane pleasures, samsara pleasures, are the suffering of changing. So we are understanding these considered today in the worldly considered as a happiness, as a true practitioner, these are still part of suffering, suffering of changing. So having all those mundane things doesn't mean it makes you one of the happiest person. It's still, it can create you stress, it can create you all these problems. So knowing that, to understand that, then you try to renounce all of them. And specific suffering because I'm living under the influence of my mental affliction. Seeking one's negative emotions are the source of all your problem. So your negative emotion, your attachment, anger, selfish, ignorance are the fundamental causes of all the suffering. It's like a poison. It's the source of disease. All the suffering you're experiencing because of that. And those negative emotions being tortured us in the past, countless time of our life. And the present, they're still torturing. Future, they will going to be torturing us. They will going to be disturb us. They will bring the suffering. So if you not purify them, if you don't remove them, you will be, doesn't matter wherever we goes, it's still experiencing suffering. So this suffering is not somebody, it's from one's own negative emotion. So knowing that, generally you feel disgust to mundane pleasure, specific one's own negative emotion, mind of ego grasping, the ignorance, self-centered, attachment, anger. You deep of your heart feel disgust to your negative emotion, feel fear to have this negative emotion, feel uncomfortable, and to living under the influence of those negative emotion. Through that, you generating strong desire. My fulfilled wish is liberate, cessation of my negative emotion. If I achieve cessation of my negative emotion, that will what you call gives you fulfilled wish. So you're seeking oneself every moment, day or night, seeking oneself achieve freedom of negative emotion, cessation of negative emotion, and full disgust to one's own negative emotion. So having that desire every day, every moment, wish to free from one's own negative emotion, if you have that kind of desire from deep of your heart, then you have a renunciation, true renunciation. When you have that renunciation, whatever you practice, you're doing, all those practices will help you to internalize. Otherwise, no renunciation, then practice is just physical. You're doing something, it's just developing virtues and merits, or just, accumulating some kind of karma for your future. So today is nothing helps you. You can bring it to internalize. You can bring your practice to deal with your negative emotion. Therefore, you're doing practice every day, every week, every year, but your negative emotion never change, never reduce. So if these negative emotions are not moving, not changing, that means your practice are not becoming strong. purpose of practice is to deal with your negative emotion. So to make that link, to help to support your practice to reduce your negative emotion, you have to have renunciation. So having renunciation will tremendous helps you. Even simple prostration you're doing, you fully focus, you internalize to deal with your ego, to deal with your arrogance, to develop your humble attitude, right? Simple practice of prostration can help you. So that's how, as a practitioner, first, we should really, really, really focus on renunciation. Otherwise, we're going too high practice, something Vajrayana or Dzogchen Mahamudra, something, all these high practices. Focusing on there, we neglecting those fundamental practices. So without renunciation, there's nothing to achieve anything at all, no achievement. So of course, this can help you to create good karma for our future. But point is, we suffer because of our negative emotion. That's why first to develop renunciation, compassion, bodhicitta, then above there. So your practice should be the practice you're doing, it should be your level. So your level is too much low, your practice is too much high, then sometimes it's not suit with you. Doesn't mean you don't do this high Vajrayana practice. Of course, I myself doing these things. I have to do that. But our main focus should be first renunciation. That's our level. Because right now, lack of renunciation, our practice are not becoming very serious. Not that much helping us to get rid of our negative emotion. So you should know understanding. If you have renunciation, then you don't need to do practice on renunciation. Then you should go ahead, next practices. So that's how we should do it. So we finished this class last number of months. We've giving this teaching on renunciation. So now point is we need to put it into the practices. Now today, after finish the renunciation, small scopes and medium scopes, now today, the great scopes, called the training in the path of person of great capacity. So the great capacity, the training in the path of persons of the great capacity, which main focus is bodhicitta and wisdom of emptiness. So among these two, now first the bodhicitta. So maybe the training in the path person of great capacity, we put it into three parts, which is called first, benefit of giving rise to the mind of enlightenment. It's called the bodhicitta. Second, how to give rise to the mind of enlightenment. How to give rise to the bodhicitta. Then the third, having given rise to the bodhicitta, the manner in which to engage in practices. So here, first, benefit of giving rise to the bodhicitta. What are the benefits? So if we know the benefit of having bodhicitta, then it helps you to develop the interest, to develop the desire, the wish to achieve that. So according to the Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand by Pabonka Rinpoche, he says there's a 10 benefit. So the first benefit is it is the sole entry way into the Mahayana. So it is the only way into the Mahayana. So bodhicitta is the gateway, only the one gateway to enter into the Mahayana. So the Mahayana, it's called Maha means great, Yana means vehicle. So the great vehicle, why it's called great vehicle? Because of the bodhicitta. So bodhicitta is the great mind, right? Great mind. So if you practicing bodhicitta, all your practice out of bodhicitta, then your practice becoming Mahayana practice. If the practitioner, he or she, not having bodhicitta, not intention, bodhicitta intention, then whatever practice you're doing, it's not becoming Mahayana practice. If this is not becoming Mahayana practice, then Vajrayana, impossible. In order to becoming Vajrayana practice, first we have to have Mahayana. Vajrayana is part of Mahayana practices. So therefore, becoming Mahayana practice is not what kind of practice over there. It's about individual's mind stream. All your practice out of bodhicitta, even prostration, reciting mantra, whatever you're doing, all those practice becoming Mahayana practice. If you do not have bodhicitta, without bodhicitta, then any practice you're doing are not becoming Mahayana. So that's why it's called, it is the only way into the Mahayana. Then second, one attained the little child of the victors. So one attains one attains the title child of victories. So in Tibetan we call Geshe. When you have bodhicitta, we call Geshe. So Geshe means Gel means Buddha, victors, Buddha. Se means child of Buddha. So you can get the title of child of Buddha. When you have bodhicitta, you're becoming Bodhisattva. So Bodhisattva, which means the child of Buddha, Geshe. So child of the Buddha, why they call child of the Buddha? Because as soon as when you have bodhicitta, then bodhicitta will push you into enlightenment Buddhahood, like a rocket. So the rocket, the end of there, I don't know, whatever they call, when you fire it, that fuel, when they fire, the fuel will push the rocket on the moon. So bodhicitta is like that fuel to push you to Buddhahood. So because the bodhicitta is the mind who's seeking oneself to achieve enlightenment to sake of all beings. So that very strong-minded when you seeking oneself to becoming Buddha, the sake of all beings. So if you are very strong and deep of your mind, that mind will push you, to enlightenment Buddhahood. So that's why you're sooner to becoming Buddha. Therefore, it's called child of Buddha, child of the Buddha. Then another word is when you have bodhicitta, all the enlightened beings so much taking care, the blessing, there's so much taking care because the bodhicitta is the main, the mind can, take them into the enlightened realms, Buddhahood. So therefore, when they first arise in bodhicitta, many obstacles, it can decline here, there. So that's why all the enlightened beings support that, encourage that, always take care of them. So that's how it's called the child of Buddha. And the next, it overpowers the lineage of hearer, Sarvaka, and self-realizer. It's called the Patika Buddha. So the Hinayana has a two, Sarvaka Yana and Patika Buddha Yana. So the Sarvaka Yana and Patika Buddha Yana is the Hinayana practices. So through the Sarvaka Yana and Patika Yana, you can achieve self-liberation, but you can't able to achieve Buddhahood. So therefore, it's called it overpowers the lineages of Sarvakas and self-realizer, Patikayana. So it overpowers the lineage of Sarvakayana. So when you have bodhicitta, even you are just achieved the bodhicitta, even the Sarvakayana who been practices for long eons and eons and becoming arhat being, for destroyer, self-liberated. Even they achieve their main goal, self-liberation. But the person who just initial practitioner, Mahayana initial practitioner, as soon as when they achieve bodhicitta, just having bodhicitta can overpower all of them, the lineage of Sarvakayana and Patikayana, both, because the bodhicitta is the great mind, who's touched to each and all sentient beings, who touch every beings. Therefore, this mind is so powerful, therefore they can overpower to other lineages. That's how it's showing bodhicitta, how strong it is, how powerful this mind. Then next, one becomes a supreme object of offerings. So when you have bodhicitta, you are becoming supreme object of offerings. So others, when they offer to you, they can accumulate so much virtues and merits. You can accept our others' offerings. So one becomes supreme object of offerings because of the bodhicitta. Then the next, one easily complete extensive accumulations of merits. So when you have bodhicitta, I mentioned earlier, you can easily complete extensive accumulation of merits. Even simple prostration out of bodhicitta, when you're doing the prostration, you're accumulating tons and tons of merits. Because you're prostrating to the Buddha, it's behalf of all sentient beings, countless of sentient beings, immeasurable sentient beings, then you can also accumulate the same number of others. So one prostration can accumulate tons and tons of merits. So that's why it's called, one easily complete extensive accumulation of merits. Then next, one rapidly purify faults and obscurations. When you have bodhicitta, you're always seeking oneself to becoming enlightenment Buddhahood. So in order to in order to achieve Buddhahood, we need to purify one's own obscuration. You always focus oneself in your negative emotion to always looking at how to purify them. You're becoming very sensitive on your negative karma, your negative actions, your negative emotions. You're always looking there to get rid of them. Therefore, one rapidly purify faults and obscuration, easily purify all of them because you're very familiar to self-judging, looking your one's own behavior, one's own negative mind. Otherwise, when you don't have, we're forgetting looking there, we're hanging around here, there, our internal, all the negative emotions are arising. That's how it's bringing all the obstacles. That's how all this accumulating false negative karma, that's why we suffer. So as soon as when you have bodhicitta, you rapidly purify them. Then next ones accomplish all wishes. Yes, you will accomplish all your wishes, which is Buddhahood. So when you achieve that, bodhicitta will push you to, achieve your all wishes. Then one is not afflicted by harmful entity and obstacles. When you have bodhicitta, there's nobody can able to harms you, External evil or devil or whatever you there, they are not able to harm you. During the Buddha, when he stay in a meditation, in what you call under the Bodhi tree, when he was 6 years meditating, there are many external obstacles to try to harm him because of out of his bodhicitta, out of his love to them. Even they try so much, they can't able to harm him. They throw the stone turn into the flower. They shoot the arrows turn into the flowers. So nobody can able to harm you when you have bodhicitta. And the external obstacles not big deal. The real obstacle is your internal obstacle, which is your ego, your attachment, your anger. These are the one of the scary devil thoughts. So when you have bodhicitta, your even internal negative emotion can, not able to harm you because the power of bodhicitta, they surface, they decline. They're always looking that to stop, to reduce them. That's why one is not afflicted by harmful entities and obstacles. The next one swiftly accomplished the grounds and paths of enlightenment. So one swiftly accomplished the grounds and path to enlightenment. Grounds, there are the 10 grounds, and the path to enlightenment, there are the 5 paths to achieve enlightenment, and 10 grounds. So 10 grounds we call 10 bhumis. So what are the 5 paths to enlightenment is? First, accumulation path. Second, preparation path. Then third, seeing path. Then fourth, meditation path. Then the fifth, the last, called no more learning paths. So achieving enlightenment, we have to go step by step to first accumulation, then preparation, seeing part, meditation part, and finally, no more learning part. So we have to go step by step. So when accumulation, preparation, seeing part, then after you achieve the meditation parts, the meditation parts, you can divide it into 10 grounds, 10 bhumis, called first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, nine, 10 bhumis. There's 10 stages to achieve enlightenment. The reason is because of our mind of ego grasping has so many layers. So in it, our mind of ego grasping has 10 different layers. So each stages helps to purify each layers of the negative emotion. That's how it divided into 10 bhumis. So these grounds and the path, are the main things to achieve enlightenment. So it's not just today simple person and next becoming Buddha. It's not like that. There's so many stages to go there because our negative emotion has so many levels. Very gross level to subtle, 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 subtle. So first you have to clean the gross, then next subtle, then go subtle. That's how you have to clean them. So when you clean them, so they have a different way of practice for each of them. That's how stages, 10 bhumis, 10 grounds, and 5 paths. So when you have bodhicitta, these bhumis and paths, you can accomplish those grounds and paths. Then the last one become a field accomplishing all benefit of migrators beings. So one become a field accomplishing all benefit of migrator beings, which is Buddhahood. When you're becoming Buddhahood, then you can able to benefit to all sentient beings, migrator beings, all sentient beings benefit. You're becoming a field accomplishing all benefit of all sentient beings when you have bodhicitta. So this all comes when you have bodhicitta. So that's why the bodhicitta is so important. So for the Lam Rim practice is give you the teaching from initial level who have no dharma to their Lam Rim is the stages of the path to enlightenment, right? So Lam Rim practice is focusing to develop bodhicitta and wisdom of emptiness, 6 paramita. That's the Lam Rim, gives you all those instruction. As soon as when you achieve the bodhicitta, then real path, it's you are now beginning you are engaged into the real path, which is accumulation path. I mentioned earlier, there are the 5 paths to achieve enlightenment: accumulation, preparation, seeing path, meditation, no more learning path. As soon as when you are bodhicitta, you achieve accumulation path. So the Lam Rim gives you from initial level to accumulation path. So when you have accumulation path, then you finish this Lam Rim practice. Then you're focusing on next level. You already have bodhicitta, and you're developing with wisdom of emptiness. So then wisdom of emptiness and bodhicitta, that's the 2 main tool to cut all your negative emotion. This is the weapon, equipment, can able to cut them. So preparation, accumulation, preparation, seeing, norm, they all use the tool is the same. Wisdom of emptiness and bodhicitta. But each stages, your bodhicitta become stronger and stronger with the more virtues. Same time, your wisdom becoming more sharper and sharper, can able to antidote to this kind of negative emotion. Then that kind of negative emotion. So it's becoming more stronger. So next of those seeing part and all those parts is you already have bodhicitta and wisdom of emptiness. You developing this bodhicitta and emptiness stronger and stronger. So Lam Rim gives you these 2 tools. Main, to cut the selfish, to cut your ignorance, the negative emotion. The main tool is bodhicitta and wisdom of emptiness. That's why, Lam Rim, how it's important. So without Lam Rim, there's no bodhicitta. You can say bodhicitta, you can meditate simple bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is not easy to just you meditate and achieve. You have to go step by steps. So that's how the Lam Rim gives you. So that's the benefit. So look these benefit again. You can read the liberation of palm of your hand, You can also read the Lama Tsongkhapa Stages of the Path, the Lam Rim Chemo. These are all available in English. Then of course there are Guzan Lame Shelong in Nyingma, and they also have in Kardyu Tapo Tarkin. So they're, Satya, there's Lamde, they're all similar. The main topic is bodhicitta in wisdom of emptiness. So read all these texts. All of them, I think they are available in English. So to familiar, to understanding more and more. Then if you don't know these things, then practice never achievement, never success the practice. Don't just follow simple word. Oh yes, bodhicitta means this, just simple word. It stay very dry. When you put it into the practice, just simple word alone is not enough, because our mind is so much influenced by negative minded. So it's very difficult to deal that, very difficult to experience. So you need to have full, thoroughly teaching, fully understanding, full package of this bodhicitta. Then you can, when you know that, then you can practice this. So now these are the benefits. Now second, how to give rise to the bodhicitta. How should we develop the bodhicitta? And this has 2 points, 2 parts. It's called, I don't want to go very detailed. Maybe, there's 2 different lineage. The 2 different lineage who gives you the instruction. So the stage of or training in bodhicitta has 2 lineage. So there's 2 lineage called the lineage ordination, the Buddha Shakyamuni transmitted way Maitreya and Arya Asanga. So that kind of a lineage is called the lineage of extensive deeds. So that lineage, to develop bodhicitta, they use called the 7-point cause and effect instruction. So 7-point cause effect instruction. Through that instruction, we develop bodhicitta for the Maitreya lineage. So Buddha give the teaching 2 different ways. One lineage comes through the Maitreya, Buddha to Maitreya, Maitreya to Arya Asanga, and through that Vasubandhu and so forth. Then one lineage, Buddha to Manjushri. So Manjushri to Nagarjuna and Shantidevas and so forth. So that's the 2 different lineages. They follows. So therefore, Maitreya lineage, the lineage originating the Buddha Shakyamuni transmitted to Maitreya and Arya Asanga. So it's called the lineage of extensive deeds. For their lineage, to develop bodhicitta, it's called 7-point cause and effect instruction. Manjushri lineage is called the lineage of profound view. So lineage of profound view and lineage of extensive deeds. There are 2 different lineages. So lineage of profound view, Manjushri to Nagarjuna, and then Arya Shantideva. That lineage, where they develop bodhicitta, they use the training of equalizing and exchanging self in others. We call Dakshin Nyamje in Tibetan. Dakshin Nyamje, which means the training of equalizing, self-centered, and cherished to others right now. So we're first equalizing these 2 attitudes. Then after is exchange self in others. Instead of cherish to other, cherish to self, cherish to other. Instead of neglecting to other, neglect oneself. So it's called equalizing and exchanging self in others. That's the Manjushri lineage of developing bodhicitta. So there's 2 different lineage around here. It goes all the way from these 2 lineage until Atisha, Indian great master, late 10th century, very famous great master. He achieved bodhicitta. He got both of lineage, Manjushri and Maitreya, both lineage. When he received both lineage, that's how he came to Tibet. He's the one the main Indian master to spread the specific the Lam Rim teaching in Tibet. So he wrote the root text of the Lam Rim, Chanchuk Lam Dun. So that's the text. I think Chanchuk Lam Ki Drama. Lamb or path or something, enlightenment or lamb or path, I'm not sure. These are available in English. So the root text, it's wrote by Lama Adisha. So it's that not many, there are only a few pages, maybe 5 to 10 pages. So the root text wrote by Lama Adisha. So Lama Adisha Dibamkara is one of the great master who bring this teaching in Tibet during the beginning of 11th century. So he got the bodhicitta practice from his own teacher, Sumatra, Lama Sumatra, I think Ishitoji, which means Jnana Vajra. So Lama Sumatra is from Indonesia. It's one of the island. Maybe that's the name named him. That's island name called Sumatra. So that's the master, one of the main teacher of Lama Adisha. So Lama Adisha received this bodhicitta teaching from him. So he went to Indonesia, from India to Indonesia during that time. It's very difficult to go there. It takes, I think, 13 months to cross the ocean. It's that time. So it's lots of obstacles. So went there, stayed there, take teaching. He stayed there for 12 years to fulfill his bodhicitta practice achievement. Then he came to India. Then finally he came to Tibet and wrote the Lam Rim teaching in Tibet. So detailed information, Lama Adisha's life stories are available in Lam Rim teaching by Lama Tsongkhapa's, his text. So you should read it and you will understand who he is. So through that, there are 2 different lineage. So the first lineage, we're going like a 7-point cause and effect instruction. So 7-point cause of effect instruction, that lineage, what are the 7 points? So the 7 points, which first, all sentient beings as your mother. There are 6 causes, and 7 is the result. The 6 causes, which are all sentient beings, meditation on all sentient beings is your mother, remember their kindness, then wish to repay their kindness, and affection, love, then compassion to all beings, then unusual attitude is called special compassion. These are the 6 other causes. Then the result, bodhicitta. That's called 7-fold. So bodhicitta, to develop bodhicitta, you don't just go there and meditate. You have to go all these 6 courses. First, all sentient beings, your mother, meditate. Remember their kindness. Then wish to repay their kindness. Then meditating on love to everybody. Then meditation on compassion. Then next, unusual attitude. Then after, you can develop bodhicitta. So we're going to talk about this in the next class to go detail about these 6 courses, what they are, how to develop, how to meditate that. So the detail we're going to teach in our next class. So I think today we're going to leave here. It's already 10 o'clock. So then maybe a few minutes, I have another appointments to go there. So I'm apologizing, this video is not showing, but good thing is you can hear. The main thing is the point, and I need to hear the word. So yes, now these are the today. So we're going to I think the next Saturday I have a class, maybe next Saturday. So being a little bit busy on these few months. So now maybe almost calm down. So next Saturday, I think I have a class in the center, maybe next Saturday. But I will send it on the Skype message and whenever we begin the next classes. So if you have a time, You can read Lama Tsongkhapa and Liberation of Palm of Your Hands, the main, then there are many Lam Rims. So read and familiarize these things, familiarity and knowing these things. When you take a class, it's much easier, to understand that. And mainly, we need to meditate. Every day meditate means to familiarize. So meditation doesn't mean you have to sit in your shrine room or something. Simple, you sitting on the couch or you just sitting out there. Just think about these things. It's mental exercise. You exercise mentally about that. So as soon as when you think more, it's becoming more easier and easier. So if you don't think, just knowing that, it's not benefit that much. So meditation and implement and utilize and experience will be help us to reduce our negative emotion. So mainly to reduce our ignorance, the mind of ego grasping and self-centered. Through that, all this negative emotion, we have to experience the bodhicitta, the wisdom of emptiness, renunciation, compassion, and so forth. That main purpose is to reduce those negative emotions. So make sure each of us, when we're doing this practice, make sure when you say practice is so benefit, which means it's really helps me to reduce my anger, my attachments, my arrogance, my selfish, and so forth. So if they're changing something, that means really benefiting. Okay, today that's all. We're going to next time to talk detail about these 6 courses.